So guys, today is a very special one for me. If you're on YouTube, give me a moment. I'm trying to share and come back to you. It's a beautiful day. All right, welcome guys, everyone all over the world. This is Amaka Omo-Oikeh. I am privileged to be the host, convener of the Disruptive Parenting Summit. Disruptive Parenting Summit is an offshoot of the Disruptive Parenting Academy, which is about 1 year old now. So today we are going to be hosting an incredible person. Sometimes I almost was like, I don't even have enough words, right? But today we are going to be listening to somebody who is very precious to my journey so far. So like I said, my name is Amaka. I am a life coach. I'm also a personal development coach. I am a family life practitioner, a mental health therapist. I wear several caps. I do business and all of those. But today I am wearing the cap of a parent coach. And then we've been on the 30 days journey working with incredible masterminds to help you groom your children into champions and your kids into kings, right? I have come to understand and accept that truly, until every child is safe, no child is safe. Looking at what's going on in our world today, I am afraid that if nothing is done, I don't know what will become of the African child, the Nigerian child, and the next generation, beginning with Generation Alpha. And when I say Generation Alpha, I'm talking about children who were born between 2010 to date, right? That is the generation that is called the screenagers, because they don't have role models and their world is different. And so because of where their parents are coming from, if you do not get help, you are going to damage that generation. So I look at what is going on and I'm like, God, we have to do something to rescue the soul of the next generation. Otherwise, I don't know what will become of our world in the next 10 years and 20 years and on, especially for us who are people of faith until Jesus comes. So our commitment is also that we not understand that even though, yes, I'm a professional with different certifications, but I know there's only just a little that one person can do in raising a wholesome child. So in disruptive parenting, we believe in community parenting. And so part of what we're doing with this summit is community parenting re-engineering. There were days when we were children, when if you are going to do anything funny and you see an adult, whether or not the person is related to you, you are sure that that person can drag you from there and go and meet your parents for the first time and say, I met your child doing XYZ and I needed to see his or her mother so that this can be corrected. Right now, all of that seem non-existent. And so we have gathered these 30 masterminds in this 30-day journey to help you groom your children. Because we as stakeholders, something must happen. And in the last 7 days, it's been off the hook. If you missed any one of them, please go back. The videos are all here on YouTube. and you will catch up. All right. Thank you to everyone who have been here. We are so grateful. Grateful. Yesterday, we were talking about our children and helping them to begin to think money, manage money, multiply money, and invest money. Yes, with Coach Juliet, sorry, of Kidpreneur, right? We have had Pastor Amma here with over 20 years experience working with children. So it's a whole lot. You cannot sit with these 30 videos and not be transformed. I can assure you. I can assure you. There's no how you will sit with these 30 videos and you won't get value. I can bet that, because I know everyone who have been here or who is going to be here. I know them one-on-one. All right. The guest we are hosting today is a mother figure to me. I have known her for nearly 20 years, thereabouts. Okay. Shortly before we came online, we were talking. I'm like, God, that's a way I'm feeling. I'm feeling like today is a daughter-mother segment. Right? We didn't even know that God met all of this when we met. Mm-hmm. He has blown our minds completely. All right. And like I said in her profile that I shared, I am amazed. I'm amazed. See, I call her Auntie Nelly, right? She's an incredible role model. She's comfortable in her skin, right? I'm amazed at how she has embraced the knowledge that I bring. You wouldn't know that she has known me from anywhere. You would just think that she has found a coach and she's following the coach. But you won't know that some of the things that you're seeing today are the investments in prayers that she has made, that today the world is reaping. And today I am grateful. I'm blown away. I am excited to be hosting her today, right? She's one woman who you can, when you press her body like this, Jesus will come out. You are sure that she won't lie to you. You are that one, you can take it to the bank. And if you know me, you just know that I have a way people who don't have gray areas. I don't know how to manage gray areas, right? It's only whether it's black or white. I know that the generation we live in has plenty of gray areas, but people who do not have gray areas still stand distinguished, right? So today, she's a mother to me. She's a big sister. She's a counselor. You know, I didn't tell you that, you know, when I was going to get married, my husband and I went to her house and I said, Auntie Nelly, I think I've seen somebody that wants to marry. Guess what she said? She said, Amaka, you think or you know? You said,
I have to be sure. You know what you're getting.
She said, Amaka, you think or you know?
You know,
right?
Exactly.
Because that's what she is. And over time, she's been rock solid. She's one of those people, you know, if something happens now, all these Lagos people are giving me too much drama, I'll just go to Sapele and go and then go back. Anyway, like I said, she's a mental health therapist in a moment. She's graduated already she's a lifelong learner. All right, but I'm glad to have her in the Timfa family. I'm excited to have her in the Timfa family. So in a short while, a couple of weeks, she's going to be doing her graduation as mental health therapist with the Timfa, and I'm excited at that. Okay. She's also, hey, she's a husband. She's a wife of one husband. One male husband, Dr. James Ebuteriawe. That's our very own Uncle James, right? She's an accomplished entrepreneur. I'm expecting that in a short while, all these things that she knows, She will come and be dishing them out in books and in courses because she knows too much. Just at this point, the next time you are going to be seeing her here, she will be author of several books, right? So we're excited to have you today, Auntie Nelly. I am super duper excited. I didn't see today coming, but I'm sure that God knows. Today we'll be talking about abuse and childhood trauma. And it's one area that you need to pay attention to. Why do I say that? Because in the days that we live, with all the Boko Haram drama, all the sexual abuse, all the children who are molested, and some of them died in their schools, a lot of parents are not paying attention to what is probably going on in the minds of their children. A lot of parents do not even know that the people who are abusing their children are the people that they are funding. So they are funding their children abuse. So you're paying the school fees of the person who is molesting your daughter. All right. You're paying the one who is your staff. You're paying the person as a staff to mess up with your boy. All right. So today we are going to be helping mothers and fathers to know what to do and how to run that. So it's with a heart full of gratitude, first to God, and honor to this incredible grace that I welcome Auntie Nelly. Ma, please, we are glad to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Amaka. Thank you. I really appreciate you. The truth of the matter is that we can't start going back and bringing it, but I really appreciate being here. Thank you for having me on this disruptive parenting. And I don't have told you that I love that title, Disruptive Parenting. It's mind-blowing for me. It's mind-blowing for me because it's more or less re-engineering what we know as parents, even the way we were brought up, you know. And for me, going through your book, I want to say thank you, Anne, to write that masterpiece. Amaka, I call it a masterpiece because I enjoyed every minute of it. God bless you. God bless you. And I pray you are not going to stop. Yes, you're not going to stop with just that because we need more of such wholesome materials in our world right now. God bless you. My name is Nelly Kuti, right? And like Amaka already said, the topic we have today is a burning one in my heart. If you can remember, Amaka, that was like 3 weeks ago we spoke and we had another topic in mind, you know, that I had told you, okay, we're going to talk on this. We agreed on it. But because of my personal encounter, I had to call you up to tell you, see, I believe God wants me to talk on this because it's actually what he wants, okay? And because of what has been happening all around, like you rightly said, parents are not paying attention. And a lot is happening. And these innocent souls, they actually don't know how to communicate. God forbid that the only communication parents will get is when they see the trauma that their loved ones have gone through. God forbid that the only communication or sign they will know something is wrong is when the end of life has come. But thank God for such programs, and I pray that a lot of people will hook up and just live. Being a mother and being a father is not just the biological procedure. It goes beyond that.
Yeah.
And so to have a wholesome child and to have a happy child and a happy nation or a happy family, like that to say, then you need to pay attention. The moment this disease. I call it a disease. I don't want to use the word stigma. A disease comes in, child sexual abuse and trauma associated with it comes into the life of that child, except God takes over. That child might not be able to live a balanced life. That's the truth of it. Part of the world, we don't know, we don't regard therapy as anything. Counseling is as if for you to say, I'm going to see a counselor, it's almost like saying,
Okay, guys, she'll be back in a bit. I think that is a network matter. But yes, this is Disruptive Parenting Summit 2022. This is the very first edition of the summit, and I'm sure that you're getting value. So if you're on YouTube, kindly click the like button. Share also, share, and share, because this is knowledge. This is something that everybody needs to know and learn about so that we can raise a whole society. So please share, click the like button, subscribe also, and please turn on your bell so that once we come online, you will be notified. Like, share, turn on the notification bell. Thank you. She'll be back in a bit. All right, so understand. Okay, I think she's here now. Mama, can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. So, guys, child sexual abuse is not one that anybody wants to experience in life. Some of us who are adults, if you have ever been molested, you know how it feels. There's so many families who are suffering today, marriages suffering because
about my network is misbehaving sort of. So I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, so go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, I was speaking on child sexual abuse and its trauma. And so what is actually childhood abuse? It's actually that situation where an adult or older adolescent uses a child for sexual stimulation. It's an abuse because at that age, the child is not old enough to give consent. That is the bottom line. That's statutory age for the child to give consent. This child is still a minor. So the child cannot give consent, and the court guarantee it's okay, yes, this child knows what he or she is a child. Funny enough, when we talk about child sexual abuse, what comes to mind? We just say rape. Rape is just one form of abuse. We have abuse, penetration, and where we have that with sexual activity or content, through calls or through constantly exposing that child content, that's actually abuse. That's what you are, the message you are trying to, impart on that. And of course, content. Another form is where you have the actual sexual intercourse. That is a form. No, it is known as child sex or distributing child touch. In such films, so to speak. Let me use that word, film. You are using them to exploit them, sexually exploiting them, using them in such unwholesome content. Is actually, we know trafficking, sex trafficking, child prostitution. All these are forms of child abuse. You talked about the Boko Haram, and we're seeing the world, even in Ukraine right now. NGOs are screaming because they know that is a fertile ground for child abuse, sexual abuse, and sex trafficking, not just for the children, but also for the women, the female. Okay? So another way is child grooming. That's one thing that we don't actually pay attention to. Not most times. Statistics have shown it. That's a way of trying to disarm the family, trustworthy, and the children, who they might want to date this child, maybe she's her. Because it's in her home, that child might not occur to that child that this guy is trying to molest her. Okay? And so he tries to desensitize her from that feeling. So that by the time he begins to molest her and she becomes a victim, she's harmless. She just, she feels okay. Are we getting it? So then the one we actually don't want to talk about is incest. I know, ironically, because it's underreported. Statistics have shown that siblings molest, but noted. Incest, brother to brother, sister to sister, brother to sister, sister to brother, or maybe close relatives, father, mothers, uncles, grandparents. So all these are all forms of what? Child abuse. Okay? Then let me shock you. I want to give us facts so that as parents we pay attention. We pay attention. Because if only we can just pay attention, most of the things we will be able to curb them and leave them at the board. One fact, child sexual molesters, they're actually not strangers. They're not strangers.
Yeah.
They're people known to the family. They know victims of child sexual abuse are actually known. The perpetrators are known to the family. Like you just rightly said, most times parents actually fund this abuse without knowing. Example, the one that blows my mind, you see a mother or a father put their daughter in a car and tell you their driver is taking that child to school all alone. No adult supervision. 3-4 hours alone with a total stranger. Forget that the person is your driver. Forget that the person is a close family friend. So, fact number one, that myth of a child is molested by a stranger is not true. The perpetrators are close by. They are just around you, most probably living inside the house. Another thing again, like I just busted the myth of the stranger danger myth. As we were growing up, Amaka, if you can remember, we were told, oh, be wary of strangers. Don't talk to strangers. Avoid strangers. That also, and we pass, if you're not careful, you pass that same message to your children. But what we know now, that is not the case. It is proven that the molest to the victims are not a so just another thing is, but the truth of the matter is that boys, the boys are also dying in what, in silence. That's the truth. And most of them, and because it's underreported, so we don't really have statistics. But and again, maybe it's a man thing. They wouldn't even want to talk about it. Maybe they feel it has to do with their ego, and so they just keep quiet. You see maids, because they can't, you have a maid in the house, so to speak, or a housekeeper or a nanny, and because they can't go out whatever they want to do, so is their victim. Okay, victims can be taxed. That uncle that is just around, that's always nice, willing to do things, always available for you to send on an errand and have access to your home. That's an easy avenue for your child to be molested. And again, it might not just be just the male, also the female is also happening. Like a pathetic case I heard recently, usually this face me, I face you houses, I'll talk about that later. A young girl of about 5 or so, another girl of about a young, a teenage, a youth, not, she's not a teenager, in her mid or thereabouts. What molested? Get this small child, open her private parts to her, and ask her to give her oral sex. And the small child, 4 or 5 years, she doesn't know what she's doing. And she says that she do it. And she's been doing it. And as we're talking now, that child is fighting for her life because she has syphilis. Okay? Can you imagine a 4 or 5-year-old with syphilis? And so it can be out from coercion.
Guys, apologize for the network. Your network is really dragging. Can you change your position? If you can change your antenna, can you change your position? Okay. Network is really dragging, guys. I am really very sorry. I apologize for that. She was mentioning that most predators, child pedophiles, are not strangers. They are not strangers. They are family members. Some of them are even spiritual leaders. So that's why it's important that you inform, groom, train your children so that they know boundaries and know what someone begins to do that they should be able to rise up and say no to. Like we teach children, we teach them, I have the right to say no to whatever that I'm not comfortable with. I have the right to say no. So you're able to also teach them to ensure that that anything that anybody wants to do with them and the person is preaching secrecy, that thing is not for them. Anybody who is telling him or her anything and the person is saying, don't tell your daddy or don't tell your mom, that is a no-go area. So if you do not teach your children, you will not be, they will not know. Imagine a 5-year-old battling syphilis. Imagine it. All right. So please let's pay attention to that and ensure that we are playing our roles as parents. Again, let me emphasize one of the things she said, that predators are not strangers. They are close. They are staff. They are family members. Go ahead, Auntie Nelly.
Okay, so sorry for my network. It's pretty rough today. Okay, I was trying to talk about the facts that we need to know as parents. Okay, and I said fact number 3 is that weapons, threatening weapons are being used. So most times your child might just be coerced into it. Like I said, that grooming state where the perpetrator is just gradually desensitizing your child into compliance without the child knowing. For you, an adult, when when that kind of situations, when you're faced with that, of course, experience will teach you that you should, there's a problem. That's not so. Or for a child, these are innocent children, they don't know. So then they might just be obeying that auntie that my mommy likes, that uncle that my family likes, that uncle that's always coming to our house and friendly with everybody. You understand? So we should take note of this so that we don't feed that syndrome. Another thing again, we should take note of. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can.
Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. Another thing again, another fact as parents we should take note of, and caregivers, I dare to say, is that boys are also victims of what? Abuse. I said that earlier. But the challenge we have in the field is that these cases are what? Underreported globally. But just know. So even when you have boys, don't just assume I have boys and it's not possible. That maid might just be abusing that child. That neighbor, that female neighbor might just be abusing that child. God forbid, that male neighbor or that driver might just be abusing that child sexually. Then another thing again is a lot of children, both boys and girls, are sexually abused in supposedly safe places. That place we term as safe, like you rightly said, the school, that might be the place. The home, even your home, might be the place. When your child goes to have for a sleepover, you know what happens there? A lot of children have been abused, even by the father of their friends. They've been abused, or the brothers of their friends. I'm talking about for the female, and vice versa. Okay? So no place is actually safe. Even the workplace is not safe. I've heard cases of a child being abused in a mother's work office. The mother just stepped out, please, can you mind my daughter? She picks her from school, they come to the place of the office, she hangs around there, plays around there until the mother closes by 4. And one of those days, she just stepped out and let me dash to the market and pick up some things for dinner and come back and close and pick her. And a staff abused the child. So there's no place that is safe. We need to be mindful of that and be vigilant as parents. Okay? We see when I hear of children exhibiting, because that's one of the signs, when a child has gone through such abuse, one major sign is you see the child exhibiting inappropriate behavior that is not appropriate for that age. Maybe the use of sexual words that is not age appropriate, or body language, or just exhibit that behavior. I never saw, I couldn't bring myself to even watch, even if I saw it, this Christland issue. We're all screaming, what happened, what happened, what happened? That child did not come from heaven with that behavior. That child must have been exposed one way or the other by the adults around her to such acts. Okay? So we should be mindful of these things. Another thing we should be mindful of as parents is that predators, they strive in secrecy. So we should make our children understand this. There's nothing like I teach my children, don't ever get into that conversation of, don't tell your mommy this. As anybody that tells you, come and do this thing, but don't tell your mommy, run away from that person. Because if that thing is good, the person will not want to keep it a secret. I can understand as a child, you want to do privacy, or you teach your children the difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is, I want to do this myself, but mommy and daddy knows about it. Okay? But secrecy is, I am doing this, and mommy and daddy does not know about it. And it is wrong. You explain to them, don't do anything in secrecy. There's nothing secret. Like I always say, the family unit is not a secret society. I jokingly tell my children, it's only a secret society. They say, you cannot leave. Okay, then I told them, they were looking at me like, mommy, I said, yes. If you feel that what you are getting or the life you have as a family, if you don't want it or it's not palatable for you, you can move. And my daughter just, where am I going to go to? I said, that's left for you to answer. We don't do secrets. Okay, so you teach your children this thing. It's a fact. So perpetrators rather, they strive in secrecy, isolation. Don't ever get to a point where you leave your child unsupervised with someone, isolated or one-on-one. Very, very wrong. Because that is a very fertile soil for child molestation or sexual abuse. The other thing we need to know is studies show that children between the ages of 7 and 13 are the most vulnerable for child sexual abuse or molestation. So we need to be mindful of that. Because they are that age where they are, they don't really know who they are. Their voices, maybe most times they've not been trained to say no, to assert themselves. And so they're more compliant. They submit easily. So we should know these things and be watchful and train our children and teach them, let them understand these things. Then again, single parent houses or family living in poverty with limited social support are vulnerable also. You find this, that's why you were talking about, I can't remember, I think it was in your book, yes, talking about where you live matters, because the kind of people you associate with also matters, and it's true. So most times you find such, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, this thing of child sexual abuse is not a class thing. It can happen anywhere, okay? But again, from statistics, it is more dominant, it's more prevalent in such single parent household, because most times, maybe the mother is out there, working to earn a living to keep the family, and there's nobody at home. or she can barely, afford maybe a daycare or something, a safe place for her child. And so the child is most times left all alone. So that child is vulnerable, okay? And so global prevalence, statistically, we have statistics to back it. 19.7% of girls and 7.9% of boys, have been molested. Like I said, you have the statistics showing that boys are lower, but the truth of the matter is that it is actually underreported. Because I've had cases of, I don't want to say most of my male friends, I've had cases of my male friends that are matured men now. And when I talk to them, maybe from conversation, and they tell me most of them were actually introduced to sex by, they were actually forced into sex, especially for those that have elder sisters, their friends. You get it? So they're actually forced into sex by their sister's friends. And they were in their teens, maybe in their early teens. So you see, that's a form of molestation under the nose of their parents without them knowing. They experimented with sex at home, not even outside. This is somebody that comes into the house, greets the mother, greets the father, eats their food, or maybe sleep over, but actually molesting their son. So then another thing again, one in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls are victims of sexual abuse before the age of 18. I told us why we're having the statistics, lower for boys is because it is underreported. Just the same way siblings sexual abuse is underreported. I've had cases of people running to me, their cousins molesting them, and they're too afraid to talk. Their fathers molesting them, and they're too afraid to talk. I still don't even understand how a mother can be in the house and the father is molesting her daughter. And because she's trying to save which marriage that has already crashed, and you keep quiet. All these things are underreported. So we don't really have accurate statistics, but it is happening. Then 40%, like I said, of child victims are abused by older or more powerful children. That's why even at an early age, we should teach our children how to assert themselves so that they will not be victims of abuse. Then according to the American Physiological Association, they state that children cannot give consent. We know that. They are not up to that statutory age to give consent. So the moment you have sexual or any form of abuse, with a child, is already a crime, and it should be punished with. But you and I know, Amaka, that in our world, in our part of the world, these things are not talked about. It is as if the victim is even the one that is even punished. You try to blame the victim. You must have done something for this person to do this wrong. So, according to, I don't even want to go into. I need to talk about it. The health implication of this. The health implication, according to WHO, 1, gynecological and reproductive problem disorder. You also have pelvic inflammatory disease. You also have sexually transmitted diseases. You will know them: the HIV, the AIDS, the STDs, and the venerable diseases. We also have mortality from injuries. When we now have the physical abuse, where the perpetrator forces, maybe by use of weapons. So when you watch, I love watching crime and investigation. And why do I watch? Because I learn a lot from this, how to identify victims or perpetrators and how to avoid them. Okay? And so, like I said, when a child has been abused, it doesn't just end there. That one-off episode is not the end of the matter. There's what we call childhood trauma. And if it is not dealt with properly, that child might not develop properly, might have challenges fitting into the larger society. That is the danger of it all. And so one of them is increased nightmares and other sleeping difficulties. These are the signs, if at all you want to help this child. When your child starts exhibiting these signs, you should know something has gone wrong somewhere. Another thing is withdrawn behavior. A child that is usually, sociable, suddenly you see that child wanting to isolate. She's withdrawn. She's afraid of physical contact. She's afraid of, or he, might be a he or she. So let's not just keep saying she. It's both ways. Physical contact, and she wants to be on her own. She's anxious. There's anxiety, there's depression. And most times for older children, you see them exhibiting eating disorder. They try to undereat. Let me use that word, undereat, to lose weight so that they will not look attractive. They try to wear baggy clothes. They try to wear baggy clothes. And again, they even start going into substance abuse because now there's something eating them up. Actually, they don't have the right support. So they can't talk. And so there's something eating them up. And in order to find temporary relief, before you know, for older children, they go into substance abuse. Okay, it could be alcohol, it could be a drug. And also sexual promiscuity increases. And so when you see a child begin to exhibit sexual promiscuity, don't just begin to talk about that immediate problem. Let's find out what happened before now. I heard a pathetic story of a child some years back, and I was wondering why this child, why is she the way she is? Until just a few days ago, somebody just, without knowing that I know this child, just mentioned it, that years back, this child was in her maybe 10, 11, 12 years. She was brought to their hospital and they discovered she was pregnant. By the time they investigated, you can just imagine 10, 12 years. By the time she was investigated, they discovered that the next door neighbor, a bachelor, has been molesting her. And because of this victimization, she couldn't even tell anybody. She couldn't tell anybody. She couldn't even confide her mother. So she just kept it to herself, and the pregnancy was developing. And so the child now exhibiting that promiscuous behavior is not just a one-off thing. It started, there's a root to it. Okay? And so you see these children not wanting to be left alone with a particular individual or individuals. Let's take note. When your child starts telling you, Mommy, I don't want to go to this person's house. Maybe that's when you drop her off or you drop him off. And the child begins to tell you, I don't want to. Take note. It's not because the child wants to be stubborn. There's something happening there. Maybe he or she doesn't have the right word to verbalize it to you. And so the only way he or she can communicate is by telling you, I'm not going there. Instead of screaming, and because you have a deadline or you have someone you want to go to and it's more important, take time to find out. Then the worst of it all is the child develop what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. That is even deadly. Because that PTSD is a reactive disorder that can develop following a traumatic event. Maybe a traumatic event is an experience that involves a threat or harm to a person's physical or psychological integrity, a feeling of intense fear. That child has gone through that traumatic episode. And so that child needs help. Okay? So you see that child become anxious. There's suicide ideation. There's even attempted suicide. There's substance abuse. Or, it could be drug, like I said, it could be alcohol, it could be sex. So all this, should be taken, should be looked into. And such a child needs help. The child has gone year old, that's 6, 10, 8 years old. It could be 12, it could be 13, it could be 15. They're still minor. Going through, especially if it's a forceful one. And most times these perpetrators, they breed fear. They tell the child things like, if you tell anybody, I will kill your mother, I will kill your father, or I'll kill your siblings. And because they love their father, they love their mother, they love their siblings, they now use themselves as a sacrifice. They don't want, these loved ones to be killed. So they keep quiet and take that torture for years. It could be for years. And so such children, they need help. They need treatment, they need therapy, they need medication, especially for those that are already having signs of depression, anxiety, and all that, eating disorder. They need medication. And so don't try to cover it. You're not helping yourself, you're not helping the child. Seek help, seek therapy, go online. There are helplines online that you can contact. There are mental health therapists. Amaka is one, I am one, and there are others out there. Mental health therapists that can help you and help your child. It's not a time to cover it up. And so what are the take home? What do I want you to take home today from this class? Hello. What should I do as parents? Because that's what should come to your mind. When a child goes through this, the child needs help, and
an abused child needs help. That's where we are right now. Thank you to everyone who has followed us till now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, like I was saying, the three most important things that the child wants to hear is, I believe you. When a child, as a caregiver, could be a parent, because that's why most children don't report it. Okay? Because they feel that the adults around them will not support them. So when they don't get proper support, then it becomes more traumatic for them. So when a child comes to you with such complaint or confession or whatever, what the child wants to hear is, I believe you. And give that child support. If you don't know how to give that child support, then please look for help immediately. If not, you are going to damage that child the more. Because what they want is, they want to be believed. Victims want to be believed, whether as children, whether as adults. They want to be believed, they want to be protected, and they want to be supported. Okay? So as parents, I'm sure that's what we're asking. I'm a mother, I'm a father, what do I need to know? So your take home today is, 1, talk to your children early about sex. It is not a taboo. It is not a taboo, it's not embarrassing. It is there. Even if they are not seeking for it, it is there. Put on your TV. Now you have TV 247, different channels. On their phones, you give them iPhones, you give them Android phones. Even if they don't want to see, at times I had to uninstall, is it Phoenix or something? Because before you just see a naked woman pop up. So it's there. So talk to them about sex. Let them know what it is. Use age-appropriate words for them, depending on their age. Use words. And when you are teaching them about their body anatomy, please use the proper words. Don't call the penis your banana. No. Use the proper words for them. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Then another thing again you should know as a mother or as a father is, teach them about arousal. Because your body is, just like when my boys were growing up, when they got to that early teens, I would just enter their room and watch them. Maybe they're still sleeping, and I look at them and I see their penis. They have an erection. What was I trying to do? I wasn't trying to peep at them. I was trying to make sure that my child is developing properly because I know at that age, that is what should happen. Okay? Or I have a daughter and at the age of 12, 13, she's not developing a breast. And she knows something is wrong and seek help early. Okay? And so these are, natural phenomenon in your body. So when so certain parts of your body are touched, you will feel a sensation because that's what happens. When these parts are touching appropriately and they feel that sensation, they equate it for love. Or you teach them that it is a natural reflex action. So therefore, don't allow anybody to touch you there. Okay? So when you teach them this, you are empowering them as parents. So when they have such an encounter, they know what to do. If not, they will mistake it for what? Love. And before you know, your child is telling you, I love my teacher. Your child is just 15, 16, and he's telling you, I love my teacher that is 43. Okay? You should know something is wrong. Then another thing again, as parents, we should do is pay attention to your child. Pay attention to where they are spending time and who they are spending time with and what they are doing. What am I trying to say? Don't leave your children unsupervised. Don't leave them isolated with, I don't care who the person is.
Yeah.
Don't leave them unsupervised. Because like I said, the perpetrators are not far. They might be living inside your house. They might just be your next door friendly neighbor. They might just be that woman or that man that is always ready to help. They might just be that teacher that is always too eager to help. They are with, and don't leave them isolated with, people. Then minimize the opportunities. How? Such molestations thrive in isolated places. So don't create that avenue. You have a daughter and she has a male lesson teacher, for example.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to request that she goes back to that male lesson teacher example because it is critical. We have had children being molested by people who came to their homes to teach them. So they came to assist the child pass exams, but they are molesting the child. Sometimes for female, they are even put in the family way. So please, I'm going to request that she delves into that before we round off as she comes back online. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Auntie Nelly, if you can hear me, please, could you go back to that male lesson teacher illustration? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please, could you go back to that male lesson teacher illustration? Okay, it's connecting. Awesome. If you can hear me, could you go back to that male lesson teacher illustration?
So sorry, guys.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so sorry, guys. My network is really messing up today. Okay.
If you can hear me, could you go back to that male lesson teacher illustration?
I can. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Please, that male lesson teacher illustration.
Okay. I'll just say, I'm going back to it. It's fine. Okay. I'll just say you have a daughter, a teenage daughter, and she's having, maybe you have a male lesson teacher for her. Fine. And you just leave her and the teacher in an isolated corner and there's nobody supervising. It's very wrong. Because that's an avenue for what? Gradual, subtle, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. That's where the child will be gradually, taught into the acts. That's if that is would be a predator. Okay? So don't leave your child with anybody in an isolated place, because most times it thrives in a one-on-one situation, or in secrecy, or in isolation. Then another thing again is, as a parent, educate yourself. That is why disruptive parenting is an awesome opportunity for you to educate yourself, because a whole lot to be talked about. This is just day 8. And one of it, we're talking about child sexual abuse. So you need to know what child sexual abuse is. Like I said, it's not just rape. Rape is just one aspect of it. There's a whole lot. I listed them, you know. So educate yourself what child sexual abuse is all about. Then when you see your child, then the signs, like I said, one sign is the child suddenly withdraws. She's withdrawn. She becomes anxious, or he becomes anxious. That's your social bed. That your child that was just a happy-go-lucky child becomes sad. You just see the child in one corner, is afraid to, to mix up. He or she's afraid of crowd, doesn't want to go out again. Or you see the child suddenly, she's always wanting to take her bath, or he's always wanting to take his bath. Why? Because they feel dirty, or they don't even want to bathe. Suddenly, they don't want to take their bath. All these are signs. And you suddenly notice that your child is beginning to use, vulgar words, sexually laced words that he or she was not using before. These are what signs. Okay? So you have to educate yourself. You have to be aware. You have to talk to your children about sex. It is not a taboo. Because if you don't teach them, they will, children are curious. They might hear something or observe something, and they want an answer, and you are not giving them the answer. They will go out all out to look for it. So you've just opened them up, giving the predators opportunity to just mess up with your child. So please find ways of communicating, and don't be too busy to communicate. Be open to communication. You leave your child in the morning, you drop him or her off in school, and you just pick the child and you're rushing home. I know children talk. They like talking. And you just tell them, oh, you're making us keep quiet and all that. You are shutting them up. So even when such is happening to them, they will not be able to talk. So learn to communicate. Learn to have a conversation with your children. Learn to ask them how their day was. Learn to listen. Because in communicating, they will tell you. And that's your, for you might think it's mindless communication. They might just say something that will pique your interest. And if you can probe more, you get more from them. Another thing is, in case of sexual abuse, please be supportive. In case it has happened, please be supportive. Learn how to be supportive. You are not an expert. You are not a professional. Allow the professionals to handle it. Don't begin to question the child and begin to make the child relieve it. That is more traumatic for the child. Allow the child to be able to, relieve it in a safe and supportive environment. So leave it to the expert. And again, one thing people do that also allows the child to just close off is they don't believe them. They blame them. The just word fallacy. You must have done something. That is why the predator picked you as a target. That's very wrong. Under no circumstance, whether even if the woman was walking naked, that doesn't give the right to the man to molest her. No, talk less of a child. So please, these are the things that we need to do as parents. Like I said, one, talk about it, teach your children age-appropriate sexual, everything about sex that is appropriate for their age, and teach them about the anatomy of their body. Be open to communication. Don't minimize the opportunity of predators. Like I told you earlier, predators are not far. There are people all around. They are close. There might be family members, uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, drivers, maids. grandfathers. You know, we hear all these things. And so if you are aware of all these things and you protect your child, then you have minimized that opportunity for this. And so I think I'm going to stop here. Like I told my host earlier, I said this is actually a whole lot. I just talked about it in general. So maybe in another segment, we talk about rape, exactly what is rape and all about rape. But for today, I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much for having me. I'm honored. I'm honored.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was very powerful. Thank you. Thank you for that insightful session. If you are on YouTube, please help me make her feel loved and appreciated. Send the chats, drop a thumbs up, send a love emoji. Just make her feel loved and appreciated. Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you. Guys, like she said, she just gave us a general overview, right? If there's anything she mentioned that you are sensing in your family with any of your children, please open the communication lines and do that immediately. Open the communication lines. It is critical. A lot of parents don't know how to begin this basic sexuality education training. That's a full course on its own. Okay. And she kept mentioning it, age-appropriate content. That is what the curriculum helps you to fix. There is age-appropriate content for 0 to 18 months. There is age-appropriate content for 3 to 5 years, and then to 7 years, and then 7 to 12, 13 to 18. There's age appropriate for everybody. And please, when you're teaching anatomy, call, those things are English words, or you're calling them in your native language, call the appropriate names. I shared it very quickly with you before we round up. Years ago, we had a case of a child who was molested. Now, because her parents hadn't taught her about, it was actually a full-blown sexual abuse. Because her parents didn't teach her the appropriate words to use, she couldn't get help when she got to court. Because the court doesn't recognize, there is no nail in any human being's body. All right? So she said, Mommy, he was putting nail in her vagina. That's her way of explaining. But in law, they don't assume. So you have to do something to put your child in a safe place. Call the appropriate name. For the woman, for the female, it is vagina. For the male, it is penis. Those people, one of the things they will do is that, because a lot of parents are taught their children, they'll say, don't let anybody kiss you except daddy or mommy. Predators will say, come, let's play daddy and mommy's play. So what do we advocate there? No matter who you are, father, mother, please stop kissing your children lip to lip. Give your children peck. Teach them that kissing lip to lip is only meant for husband and wife. Because that's one of the places the predators first conquer. Please stop kissing your children, whether they are a day old. I know you love them. I know you appreciate them. But one of the ways that you show that you love them is that you help them to be secured. Please stop kissing. Go and kiss your husband and your wife lip to lip. Give your children peck on their cheek. That way they will know that anybody that wants to go beyond giving them a peck is a red flag. Is a red flag. Okay? Those are some of the things that you can, watch out for. There is a lot. There is a lot. Please, there's a lot. Reach out and get help. We usually advocate. Yes, eventually, if your child is abused, we have a program also that eventually called recovery sessions, okay? But we advocate abstinence. If you can, do your best to make sure that your child is not abused. It's never the same. Believe me. The only proper help that child will get will be the one God sends to the help, to the child, boy or girl. All right? There are people who, when we're talking this kind of thing, they'll say, I have only boys. Hello. I share this with you as a roundup. We have had to handle a case. This woman, she had 2 boys. Okay? And she's a banker. So her husband also does 9 to 5. And so they live in Lagos. If you live in Lagos and you do 9 to 5, you will leave home. The latest you can leave home is 5 a.m. You probably will not get home before 10. So, but this woman thought that she had boys. So because she had boys, anything goes. What she didn't know was that her children will go to school. She will prepare after school food for them. So they will take their lunch. When they come back, they're supposed to microwave their food and eat. However, the school bus is meant to drop them off, and the security guy will open the door for them. What she didn't know was that the security guy started sodomizing these boys. And she never knew. Then one thing gave birth to another, and it was during the holidays. So she traveled abroad. They went for a family vacation. Everybody, father, mother, and the boys. It was when they were on vacation, unknown to her, that her sister that they were visiting had CCTV camera around her home. So she used to monitor everything that goes on in her home when she's not around. By the time she came back, she realized that there were visits to pornographic sites in her home. So she began to ask questions. Asked her children. By the time they started investigation, eventually narrowed down to these boys that were on visit. Long story short, for years, their gate man had been sodomizing the boys. In fact, one of the boys, his anus had opened wider than normal. All right? So you cannot say, I only have boys. Even your boys can be molested. I like that when she mentioned it. You kept going back to it, and I love that. Because in the part of the world that we live, men are taught not to express emotion. They are taught, they will say, be a man.
Yeah.
Be a man, the man is dying. Be a man, he's molested, he's abused, he's going through all kinds of trauma, and he's going through emotional torture, and then he doesn't get help, and he carries it and gets married. A lot of the marriage issues we are handling right now are traced to child sexual abuse.
Child trauma.
Traumatic situations that were not handled. They were not allowed to talk, so they couldn't get help. Do not allow your children to get lost under your own roof. The family is the place where children must be most secured. Let me remind our men,
secured, yeah.
As we round off, let me remind our men, our fathers, that everything about the family the responsibility is on the man, is on the husband, is on the father. Hence, God told Abraham, God called Abraham friend because he will teach his children. Raising children is not only a woman's job. Everything is meant for the father, husband to pioneer. Your wife is meant to be your helpmate. Even in parenting, there is no other place where God called somebody friend before Jesus came. God called Abraham friend for one reason. He will teach his children. He will teach his family. God trusted the next generation to him. That's how important your role as a father is. The best of a mother will be a poor father. The best of a father will be a poor mother. Everybody have their roles. You will say, what if I am, and you are a single parent? What do you do? Please help your children to find a female mentor or a male mentor, as the case may be. Somebody will have to step in. That's what we call foster parenting. Somebody must have to step in if you want to raise wholesome children. All right? Thank you once again for allowing us into your space. Today, this is Disruptive Parenting Summit, the 8th done and dusted. One more thing, Coach. Please, you've been to Disruptive Parenting Academy. What is your experience? In 1 minute, could you please share your experience? And peradventure, there's somebody out there who is asking, what do they even do in that Disruptive Parenting Academy? Please share what your experience was.
For me, like I said, it's a recalibration of what I thought parenting was all about. And I'm seeing parenting in a new light, and also understanding my children better. It helped me to understand my children better. But I actually have the alpha, I have the alpha age, and I have the Z age also. So it has helped me to be able to balance them and understand who they are and how to handle them. And if you have not gotten that book, Disruptive Parenting, and you have not been following this academy, I think you are doing yourself a disservice. Honestly, I'm not trying to sell Amaka's book, even though I should try to help her sell, but it goes beyond just selling. It's the information in that book I need every one of you to get. If I'm telling you this, with all my years of parenting, I've been married for 24 years. I have 4 awesome children by the grace of God. And I'm telling you what I know after reading that book and what I thought I knew is nothing compared to what I know now after reading that book. Then I think it's what you're on. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you so much. It's on that note that we'll round off for today. If you have not gotten your own copy of the Disruptive Parenting book, we have very limited copies right now anyways. So reach out and get your own immediately. And then Disruptive Parenting Summit, we are going to open the class before this summit is over. That is Disruptive Parenting Academy. That is where we help parents become consummate parents, and we help parenting coaches become highly paid parenting coaches. I repeat that again. In the academy, we help parents become consummate parents, and we help parenting coaches become highly paid parenting coaches. All right. So hey, that's your plug. If you in Disruptive Parenting Academy, we believe when people say think outside the box. But in Disruptive Parenting Academy, we say smash the box. The box doesn't exist.
Smash the box.
Right?
Exactly.
Because to think outside the box means that part of your body is going to still be in limitation. But smash the box doesn't exist. You are the best designer's original, right? There is a reason for which God created you, and there's a reason why that kid is in your house, in your home right now. And it's a limited period. So in another 18 years, if your baby is 1 day old now, In another 18 years, you would have finished doing your most of your job as a parent. Make maximum use of this season of your life. Groom your children as though you know that you're growing a president, a senator, a United Nations Secretary General, the next US president, the next Queen of England. That's the mindset. That's the mindset, because ye are gods. Thank you very much for coming, Aunt Nelly. This girl loves you big. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow, same time as we continue on this journey.
You're welcome.
Disruptive Parenting Summit.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
You're welcome.
It's been an amazing time. So yes, guys, I would see you tomorrow. Remember that this is the Disruptive Parenting Summit. Please share, and share. If you have not invited somebody, please, you're not doing them a favor at all. You're doing somebody you love a disfavor if you have not invited them. All right? And even if it's your enemy, people cannot behave better than they know. Go ahead and reach out to them. Make sure they're joining us here tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening from me. My name is Amaka.